blustery day in the Hundred Acre Wood has turned bloody with the latest Winnie the Pooh film. I'm talking with filmmaker Rhys Frake-Waterfield. Thanks for joining me this morning.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Trevor.
So, how do you get the permission to make this kind of film?
Back in February last year, we realized that Winnie the Pooh had gone into the public domain. Well, at least the 1926 version of it. Now, the from that kind of gave a bit of a spark of interest, and I was like, oh, this would be amazing as a horror film. So we kind of just went straight for it, started, going into development, getting the script, getting the costumes and the look, and really thinking about how we wanted to portray this. And then yeah, just hit the ground running. But we had to be really careful because the obviously the only version which is in the public domain at the moment was the 1926 book. Everything beyond then, so like Pooh in a red shirt, the way he talks and says "oh bother," and all of these other elements, they're kind of Disney's branding from it, and that's what they've kind of built up as their interpretation, and we're not allowed to touch that because that's their copyright.
So, did you have this date circled on your calendar for when it finally goes into the public domain?
No, otherwise I'd have started it January the 1st. We it was about a month after the release, and then that's when we realized he was available and thought he would be an amazing serial killer. And luckily no one else had that idea in like the 30 days prior. So we
Did you
just ran
love
with it.
Pooh growing up as well, or is it just, oh, this would make a great kind of horror film?
So you know what? I think everyone loved Winnie the Pooh when they were younger. Like 99% of people know about him. You'd have seen him to some degree, because Disney's branding is just so strong. Now, like obviously that was for when I was younger and when I was, like maybe 7 years old or so. But I don't watch that today.
Right.
And I love horror, and I thought, okay, it would be really cool to kind of bring in that kind of nostalgic element of when I was younger and introduce him into the horror world.
So, what is this film about? It's obviously going to be way different than what people were expecting.
So the central theme is kind of abandonment, and it's basically about Christopher Robin growing up. He leaves for college, and as a result of leaving for college, he has abandoned his friends, Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, and co. And as a result, they've over the years had to start to fend for themselves. They've become a bit more feral, and they've kind of returned back to their animalistic roots. And the consequence of that is they're now these kind of bloodthirsty animals. So that's then they kind of go on a bit of a rampage post their abandonment, and then get interwound with these group of girls who are going to like a nice rural retreat, but it won't be that nice.
Yeah. It's such a fun concept. I saw it last night in theaters. Definitely need to see it on the big screen. So, have you always had this fascination with horror?
Yeah, I'm a massive horror fan, and it's the genre I basically exclusively watch. Like I hate romance and all the other ones. I never go to the cinema for them. So for me, it was the only kind of genre I really want to like engage in with a director, really, as a director, really. So that was the only option I had to really bring him in.
Who are some of your favorite like horror film creators or different movies?
So they're the ones I basically drew a lot of inspiration from for this film. There's scenes which are very reminiscent of like Halloween Kills. So you'll see there's one particular scene at the end where Winnie the Pooh goes up against four guys, which is very kind of similar-esque to what was happening in Halloween Kills with Michael Myers and the Bob. So yeah, Halloween. I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well. The Strangers and Wrong Turn are like four of my favorites.
So, it was originally planned for just a 1 day release on Fathom Events, but then it was expanded before it was even released to 9 days. What was it like to hear that?
Oh, it is like honestly, it's been continuously growing and getting more and more popular since approximately June last year. The like from when the first images went viral, it kind of went everywhere. Like every media outlet kind of started taking notice of it. Then we kind of done some additional photography and made it a bit better. Then the trailer came out and it started getting even bigger. And then that's the point where we found out, okay, we're actually going to do a theatrical release for this because it wasn't initially planned to go to theaters. Well, I was kind of hopeful that it would have a small theatrical run in some places, but it kind of just grew to a much larger scale. And it wasn't just a few kind of territories which were taking it for a theatrical release. It's been basically the world. For example, the USA and South Central America alone had approximately 4,000 screens, which is insane. And then it's also getting released across like Australia, New Zealand, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Belgium, UK, blah blah blah. The list can kind of go on. So out on the lead up to the US release, that's when Fathom um, initially had it planned for one day. The screens expanded on that one day, and then after they expanded, they then said they're going to do an extension, and they've optioned it until the 1st of April. Currently, we're at a bit of a 9-day run. Now that may still get extended. That may kind of get more screens as well. But it's very very exciting because like for the film, the kind of domestic market, the US is the primary market you kind of have your box office numbers come from. So it's very, very key. Now, we've done really well in Mexico. We had we went over 1 million US dollars there in like 1 or 2 weeks, which for Mexico is very, very good. So we were really, really happy to hear, the extension with the US because it means, it's going to help the numbers kind of even more. And the more it helps the numbers, the more successful the film is. And then the more I'll kind of get towards the budget of the second film, which I'm really excited to just make as good as possible.
So you teased the second film. What, for people who have seen the first one, what can you tease spoiler free about the second one?
Well, in the second one, there's going to be more friends coming. So we kind of limited the first one to mostly Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. But yeah, like more and more of the friends are coming, and they're going to bring in really cool dynamics. One of them, I'll tell you one of them, which is Owl. That hasn't actually been released, so this is the first time it's been announced.
I appreciate it.
And also with more money and more budget, there's just a lot more we can do, because we were kind of very resource constrained on the first one because it blew way out of proportion. Now on the second one, there's just going to be more deaths, more more fun being had. We're going to like work on kind of the look of Winnie the Pooh and make him have a bit more of a prosthetics focus more on kind of practical effects, because we know as a horror fan, that's what I love as well, and just like up the death count. So it's going to be even more fun.
And you've previously mentioned in interviews, which is already so exciting, other Disney, I guess they don't have to be Disney properties, but other characters that you want to kind of expand upon. Who are some of those?
So, I have so many. Honestly, there's the whole of the public domain, and you've got nursery rhymes, you've got a lot of content there. You also have like stuff which is still in copyright. You just need to get it licensed. So, the micro budget productions, the public domain is an amazing resource. Now, when you've got a bit more money, you can start venturing out of that and you can start looking towards, just content to license to make different adaptations to. And there's so many bits there I really, really want to do. We're to give you a bit of an overview on what we're planning. We've got Bambi. So Bambi is going to be coming as our immediate next one. We've then got obviously the sequel to Winnie the Pooh, and I'm really going to try and see if someone would let me have access to, or like license me to do like a horror adaptation of something like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Teletubbies, because I think they could be amazing.
Those are just such great ideas, and we're going to see it on the big screen, hopefully. Do you have plans to release Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey digitally, or perhaps a streaming service you've had talks with?
Yeah, so currently the theatrical release worldwide is a little bit staggered. So it's not all releasing on the 15th. The latest, I think, is June in Japan. So we're having to, the time it releases on VOD and streaming is being pushed back a little bit. And I would guess the date which is roughly being talked about, it's like late April when it's coming out on DVD and probably VOD at the same time.
Yeah. So we'll look forward to that. But right now, you have to go see it in theaters. It's meant to be seen on the big screen with a packed audience. Thanks a lot, Rhys.
Thanks so much. Cheers.